So, shocking stuff, that's completely finished. And so is that. They're both completely finished, including the faster stripes and electronic setup. So here I am. I've finally started work on version 7, the flying car boat. And this big strange looking bunch of stuff, let me talk you through what it is. Put in a lot of thought and work on the folding wheel situation, and a month or so back I built this. I'm just about to build a new proper working version. Let me show you slowly. It's very simple and quite clever. Watch. I'll show you how it works first, and then I'll deconstruct it. So that's supposed to be the bottom of the float, obviously. It's meant to be able to spin around and become flat. Okay, see this piece of metal? That'll be cut off, obviously. So that's it in float mode. I've recently made 2 hot wire cutters, and this one is kind of specifically made for this. Do you see the wire here? And I've got this turned on, this wire. It's turned on. So now just very, very carefully and slowly. So now I have 2 pieces like that. A wheel like that is going to fit like that. Here's the more correctly built real version of that. And that's going to get sandwiched. They're going to each be sandwiched inside 2 foam pieces and then given a shape upwards to be the front of the float. And to counteract some of the forces, I have glued in a small piece of wood with the grain going that way. So here are the 2 floats. And there's the inside, and that's going to be able to spin like that. So I've had to make a few modifications. I had to extend that a little bit longer so that the back of the step will be behind the C of G of the plane wing. Here I sanded this piece here a little flatter on each side so that it'll be able to swing around inside smoothly. Okay, here we go with the pretty much finished float. Allow me to demonstrate. So I can have a 4mm rod put through there to lock it in place. 4mm hole, 6mm hole for the aluminium with the little nut and bolt on it there to hold it in place. I might put a washer there as well. Notice reinforced with plastic washers which I made. And this can swivel around like this. Just give me a moment to do this one-handedly. So it was in car mode, and now, my friends, it's in boat mode. Okay, here we are a few days later. Here are the parts cut out so far. Bear in mind, we're aiming at something that looks a little bit like that. But I'm trying to make lots of little changes to make the design even better. So as you saw in the previous vids, the floats are kind of finished. They're going to be like that. These are going to sit on top of the floats, and these are made out of the 1 centimetre very strong foam. And here we have what's going to become hopefully the central fuselage section. So that'll be something like that. So next what I've done is I have glued these tail wheel units, tail wheel receivers in here. And there's a piece of carbon fibre attached all the way along, very light, very small carbon fibre that goes up to there. And I've done that on both sides. Okay, I'm very pleased with that. This time I glued the tailplane together flat before putting it onto the rest of the model. And I made everything a little bit smaller than it was on this model. I'm trying to make everything a bit smaller. So another idea I've had is these flying car boats I'm building. I'd love to try a delta wing such that the 20 centimetre piece here and here, this could theoretically fit on. I'll need to do some modification of the central fuselage, but I believe it's going to be doable. So this is where I'm up to at the moment. Very pleased with that. And I'm just about to try making a delta wing with using these two. And I'm going to use this hot wire cutter to cut them so that I can either have a straight wing or a delta wing. So there we have the delta wing. Quite a bit of left work to be done. On the underside I'm going to have to cut the grooves for the carbon fibre, and I want the carbon fibre to be removable. But as you can see, the airfoil turned out very nicely in the end. A lot of sanding required, but roughly speaking, that's the idea there. So at the same time as I'm building Flying Car Boat number 7, I'm hoping to make an easier to build just a boat. It's not particularly meant to fly, it might. And I just want it to be an easier build, so I'm just using simple 2 centimetre green foam. So hopefully this simple shape can be eventually converted to the same. And then the wing is going to balance something like that across there. Here I've glued on the side floats, and there's a reason that I've done this rather odd looking setup here. What it actually is that I'm planning this time to cut a V into the bottom of the floats. That's why I wanted the centre piece to protrude. So just a minute or two carving with the craft knife, just to give you an idea of where I'm going with this. Here is the story so far. Check this out. That's going to go on top of that. And I just glued these together. So it's going to go something like this. So I realised that for the delta wing to fit in, it needed 2 modifications. At the point where it's going to sit on the rest of the frame, it needed to have a thing inserted so it comes across there to there, and a cutaway here. Et voila! I love the way that's starting to look now. Okay, here I am again with the supposedly, hopefully, simple, quick build. I'm going to assemble the tailplane out of these parts here, and I'm going to put a carbon cross piece across here. So let's get on with that and see you in a few minutes, hopefully. Et voila. Super glued at the back for lightness, hot glue at the front. This carbon rod is still removable. Trusty plastic sheets and hot glue. This is a little 3D printed piece that I came up with. It'll have a rod going up. So I designed and 3D printed these little pieces here, which have a hexagon in to receive a nut. And similar to the nailed brass inserts, I've discovered that the very best way, you print it out just so that it's a little bit too snug for the nut to fit in. I'm just going to give it, look, a gentle little pinch like that. So I'm working on 2 craft at once here. This is meant to be the quick, easy flying boat build, and over here is meant to be the Flying Car Boat number 7. Now I was going for a very similar design of central cockpit, and I just want to show you the affixing system in here. 3D printed with nuts inside. And obviously you just stick your bolts through there. So that's one wing. Let me just quickly show you the other wings. So this is going to be a delta wing. And you can see that I've put the hinges onto the centre section here and here. There's the other wing down there. That's going to come up here like that and be able to fold in like that. On the underneath, the same as all the other wings, there are grooves to put carbon fibre rods through. So I'm just literally going to put the carbon fibre rod all the way through. So for the two jobs, I'm going to use a combination of iron-on covering, probably for that wing there, and I've also used the laminate iron-on plastic. It's just for a laminating machine, but you can actually iron it on using an air modeller's iron. I then got some wet and dry sandpaper and gave that a wet and dry sanding so that it's be possible to spray paint it. So at this point, the main bodies or frames of both models are, in this case, this has been covered in iron-on covering, and in this case, this has been painted. There are the two centre fuselage pieces which need to... Here we are, as always, a day or so later. The two central fuselage pieces are completed. Okay, here I am, as usual. It's a few weeks later. Let's have a look. So, where I'm up to is that these motors, two motors, I'm going to install that one there shortly. So I believe I'm in the final straight. One model, two model. Here I have all the bits required for finishing, two speed controllers. Okay, I need two receivers as well. 4 servos, two each, the servo arms. 4 servo mounting plates that I 3D designed and 3D printed. 2 switches and switch surrounds that I designed and 3D printed. And here are my servo push rods, which are going to go like that. So, shocking stuff. That's completely finished. And so is that. They're both completely finished, including the faster stripes and electronic setup. I'm going to just show you this moving very, very slightly. Tyrannus QX7. And El Bigo, are you ready? Woohoo! I managed to complete a swivelling hinge system for the wings on both of these craft. So here they are in the wings folded up mode, where basically that's them. 3D printed, and this aluminium rod was bent 90 degrees. So I've just undone the bolt that was through here. Just want to show you now how this hinge swivelling mechanism works. This goes into the middle of the wing here, so the wing is completely free to rotate like that. And this piece going into the 3D printed parts is free to swivel like that. So if you combine those two things, you can easily go from that to this. Once this wing has been folded, unfortunately in my system, unlike the full-size versions that have been done by some other people, I then have to put a rod all the way through from here, all the way through the centre section, all the way through to the other end. I put both rods all the way through. But there are full-size aircraft that prove that it's possible to do it without having to put a rod all the way through. Okay, here we are with the maiden voyage in car mode of flying car boat, attempt number 7, with the wings folded. Fingers crossed. Okay, the brakes aren't very good, but you get the idea. It works. Next up, let's go try it in the pool. Okay, here we go with the maiden voyage on water of flying car boat number 7. 2, 1.
All right.
Here we are, the maiden voyage of flying boat number 4. Woo! That's very fast.
But it's fast.
It's very fast, isn't it? Ready?
No.
On we'll go, march, set.
Okay.
Yeah. Hola. Oh, okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's very windy.